So here we are. It's all shut in. I'm a shut in. All closed up, I'm sorry. And bondoed, first phase Bondo. You know, the build up, because the edges didn't align right. This was taller than this for some reason. I don't know if it was pushed up, pushed out, I don't know. It just was what it was. So it actually went together a lot easier than I thought, because pulling this all in because of the interior. You know, I try to make it as perfect as I can, but sometimes, you know, it doesn't work out the way I'd like it to, but it wasn't that hard. I put a board across here, taped the board across, and then ran a clamp from here to here, and pulled it in on both sides, which nicely pulled everything, because here was the problem, because this would always pop up, you know, when I push it back. So, but once I clamped this back and glued it up, it actually kind of pulled everything nicely back. So the bondoing, had to do a little bondoing up here, of course, because a little bit of gappage, but it wasn't horrible. I'll take a little orbital sander to this now and sand up all this Bondo here, you know, get it done. Tape it off so you don't have so much Bondo to sand, of course. And of course, tape off any kind of openings, because you don't want to get dust in there. That would suck, because it will get in there one way or the other. So I still got to tape these off here as well a little bit. You know, that and the engine. I'm going to tape that off too, because you never know. That dust finds a way to get inside these things every time. So that's what's going on so far. And shoot some more video a little later and show you it again. Bye-bye. Now it's all closed up, bondoing it. Trying to get a nice sharp edge here, not overly sharp, but just sharp enough. I find if you make it too sharp, then it shows every tiny little curve flaw. What I did with the fin here, because my fin's a little thinner than the one that came with the kit, is I put this Vaseline on the fin itself, this part, on the edge and on the sides. Smeared Bondo into the trench, pushed it down into the trench, let it cure. The Vaseline will act as a release. Pop the whole fin off, and just hit it with a sander real quick, and it should, which it normally does, get a nice super clean fit that I don't even have to Bondo in after that. So that's the thing. Yeah. And the side edges here, kind of rounded off. I used an orbital for that, great big ass orbital. Yeah. The front end with the, you know, up in here still needs work in these corners here. So, and you know, a little finesse to bring it in a little bit, a little nicer. But fortunately, the way they designed the kit, they put the seam under it. I assume they did that so if you wanted to take the lid off, you could, and with the seam being down here. But it makes it a lot easier to clean, because then you don't have to mess with this too much. Oh yeah, there's one other thing I do, is when the Bondo starts to get a little rubbery, you know, not super hard, because then it's a pain in the ass, is I'll take a flat blade like this, and I'll just go along the edge, and not with the chisel side down, but upside down, so it doesn't dig into the paint. Just sort of simply do this thing here to help level it out a little bit, and it'll make it a little easier for sanding in the long run. And even on the sides, I'll put it on the side here, and I'll just kind of, you know, because the Vaseline helps it separate easier. So, yeah, get the biggest clumps I can off, you know. Oops, sorry. Get the biggest clumps I can off. Makes it so much easier for sanding, and gets fairly clean that way too. It's another way you can do it, is to put Vaseline, because the only problem is the glue doesn't stick to the Vaseline either, so it's best to pop the whole thing off after I'm done, and yeah. I made it, you can see it's kind of high there, so I'll just take the blade and boom, get that thickness off down. Get down to the body a little bit. You can see the thing already popped up for me here, so that's good. There you go. Careful. The problem is sometimes if you take too much of it off, you'll end up taking a big old chunk off, which is no fun either. It will stick to primer. This is what I use, by the way. It will stick the primer to a point, but then also, you know, it can scrape off. Depends on how dry the primer is. This Bondo stuff sticks pretty good to this primer filler. So here we are in primer. Primer filler again. I was putting regular primer on it, but you need to build it up. Because, you know, you put the Bondo on and stuff, and there's still some stuff you still see. So, do the primer fill, let it set a day, sand it down, and you can see it's getting close though. These little areas here are the worst, absolute worst to try to sand and get in there. You do it the best you can if you get a Bondo, of course, but you know, cutting the Bondo when it's still rubbery first, then using like pointed files and stuff, and then hopefully the primer filler will help too. But so yeah, that's it so far. You know, get that cleaned up, do the bottom. The bottom has been primed too, but hasn't been primer filtered, one of those two. So get it done. Bye. I need a shave. I need a shave.